All right, good afternoon, traders. Today is August 6th, 2025. My name is John Carignan. I am the lead instructor here at the BYOB Trading Room. That is the day trading service for the hit and run candlesticks family. Thank you so much for being here. I want to thank everybody out there in podcast land, cyberland, digital land, everybody here in the room. Thank you for your subscriptions. Hey, I try hard every day to provide actionable, profitable content along with valuable lessons. All right, so today was a good day. Okay, in just 3 days, we doubled the 27K open house account. Awesome. Go team BYOB. All right, it was a group effort. People pointing out things that were bullishly trending. It was an awesome day today. Okay, so we started out the day with 35K and managed to ink out 30K in realized gains. What a day, what a day, what a day. All right, let's go ahead and take a look at some charts. We'll start off with QQQ, all right? So QQQ started out the day, all right, and we'll look at it on the 10-minute chart. And QQQ started out with a 10-minute uptrend, and it didn't stop till the last two candles right here. Okay? 10-minute uptrend right there. And you guys know how I love the 10-minute uptrend. All right? Especially when it's peeling away from VWAP right here. Okay? That's my favorite every time. I like a 10-minute uptrend in a 2-hour uptrend, inside a daily uptrend, inside the weekly uptrend, inside the monthly uptrend. That's my favorite trade. All right, you don't get that very often. All right, and right now we're in an environment and a behavior, a characteristic of the market that is really super bullish, and I try to take advantage of all those uptrends. Okay, so nice, beautiful 10-minute uptrend right out of the gate, right after the second candle, right there. Nice 10-minute uptrend. You can see price action. Let me just pull it over so you can see how beautiful this thing is. Okay, 10-minute uptrend over VWAP right there, all the way up, and then builds a little launch pad right here. Takes a launch, goes up higher, starting another launch pad up here higher. So looking fantastic, looking really bullish. Anytime you see consolidation over prior consolidation, that is a bullish behavior. That is a bullish environment. We've got consolidation here on top of this consolidation, which is on top of all of this consolidation. Nice, really nice move. 10-minute uptrend. So I traded some 1 DTE 572 strike calls, all right, and managed to ink out $59 on those. Okay, you can see I didn't get started on those till the end of the day. Price went up, pulled back. I was dealing with quite a few different positions at the same time, but anyways, made 59 on those. Had some calls left over from the previous day. You can see I bought some here and got rid of some here to kind of like, this was kind of a double down, get out at break even right here, and price kept moving up. All right, so I added some more, and all I'm doing here is looking at the price action to see, is my 10-minute uptrend intact? Okay, if it is, then all I do, all right, is all these candles, I just spread out a net of sell orders up above it for price to run into. Okay, and then I spread out a net of buy orders, so when price pulls back to the 3 or the 8, I get filled and reloaded, all right, for the next move up or the next candle up. All right, you can see sell some more off at the highs, sell some more off at the highs, sell some more off at the highs. I haven't got a pullback yet that I'm willing to buy, but you can see I just selling into those highs right there on QQQ. So I did the 575 9 days till expiration strike calls, and I did the 1 day till expiration 572 calls. Now we did some SPY as well. Okay, we didn't forget SPY. All right, so let's go back over here and let's see what we got. Okay, so SPY, had a 10-minute uptrend, broke the rubber band candle right there, or this one right here, either one, bought into that and selling into the highs on those. And that was, let's see which one we got there. That was the 620 puts. All right. No, that was, well, we'll just go with these, okay? 0 DTE 635 calls. 0 DTE 635 calls. So buying the lows, selling the highs. Each candle, okay? Buying the low, selling the highs. You can see a lot of profit taking up there. Made a lot of profits, all right? So you can see those were sold for 15 cents and probably purchased for 2 cents, okay? So you can see when you buy them for 2 cents or 3 cents and you're selling them for, 14 cents and 15 cents, okay? You're really making some profit there. Not just 100%, but 200, 300, 400% right there on those contracts. Okay, again, buying the dip because that 10-minute uptrend still intact right there. Okay, and then selling the highs of those candles right there. So made 24K on those. Got some 632 calls, 1 day till expiration. Made almost 4K on those. Again, buying the dip and selling the peaks. Same thing. I spread out a net of sell orders for price to run into. Okay, they're like, price is like the fish, and my net of sell orders is like my net to capture gains and profits. So as price goes up, it runs into my net. I capture the gains and profits, and then I put out another net to reload when price pulls back. I see the 10-minute uptrend still intact, so I continue to farm and fish this area as I got that 10-minute uptrend. Still intact, still holding firm and holding that higher ground. Let me just say, this price action right here that you're looking at, okay, this is a really bullish environment, okay? Whenever you get price moves up and moves over to the right, that is a bullish behavior. That is a bullish environment right there, okay? Instead of price moving up, all right, and then giving it up like that, okay? Instead, price is moving up and holding the higher ground up there, okay? That is a bullish environment. And notice we're up over VWAP. Okay, all you got to do to find direction is see which direction VWAP is pointed in, or the 17 EMA. You can see direction is up. As you can see, the 17 points to the upside. You got one dot here, another dot higher, another dot higher. You look at VWAP, which is the brown line, and you can see it's pointed up. It was pointed down earlier in the day. Let me see if I can pan out here so you can see how it was sloping down, and then they hooked around right here, and it just kept moving up all day long. So VWAP's moving up. You kind of want some bullish price action or some bullish instruments to be trading. So calls were the perfect pick for those. Okay, 1,500 on some 634 calls. Again, buying the lows, selling the dips right here on the flatland. All right, price consolidating. Just buy the lows, sell the highs, buy the lows, sell the highs. Okay, 835 on these 640 calls. Again, those are SPY calls. Again, trading that 10-minute uptrend, buying the dips, selling the peaks. Okay, just buying the dips, selling the peaks. You get a pullback. Notice price moves over to the right. You recognize this is bullish. And we had the trend day. Trend day helped me with the courage to buy into these lows right here, okay, because we had a trend day. Okay, trend day is when you've got price. That's the 3 EMA up on top of the 8 EMA, and it's rising up over VWAP between the hours of 11 and noon. So if you look at the price action, usually 30 to 40% of the time, when you have a trend day, price tends to close at the end of the day near the high of the day. Okay, obviously this was the low down here. Here's the high. You can see we're not at the absolute high, but let me just say that's near the high of the day. Okay, so 632.63. Let me put the crosshairs on that, see what the high of day is. 633.46. Okay, so near the high of the day. Okay, so there's SPY. $453. Again, buying the lows, selling the highs. $160. These 1 day till expiration, 637 calls. Again, buying the lows, selling the highs right through here. I wanted some of these to trade for tomorrow because we're so bullish. I think we'll probably either move up overnight or gap up tomorrow morning. We'll see what happens, but I can foresee probably a gap up in the morning. $106 on these 635 calls. Again, buying the lows, selling the highs. Okay, I wanted something a little bit more. These are 9 days till expiration. Okay, so you can see how pricey these are. These are $4 a share. Okay, remember, you buy one contract, you're not paying just $4.20. You're paying $4.20 times 100 because you've got 100 shares in each contract. So that can rack up against your buying power pretty quick. All right, so it's not easy to accumulate a bunch of those, especially, and not to mention it lays out quite a bit of risk at the same time. When you're buying them for 30 cents and 20 cents a share, you're not laying out near the risk that you would, or the capital, when you trade a $4.20. But keep in mind, you got lots of time left. All right, you got 9 days till expiration. Okay, lost on these puts. All right, I had some puts and I tried to double down to exit, and they did not. They traded up against me, so I will wait for a downtrend to hopefully double down and exit close to break even or near break even, hopefully. All right, so I lost $1,000 on those. Okay, so that's what I traded today. You see the Qs, you see the SPY. Again, we started out the account with a 35K. All right, and we inked out over 30K in gains and profits on this account. Okay, so let's drill down and let's eliminate a lot of this stuff right here. I'm going to take some of this stuff off by switching to another account. Okay, so now I'm going to move this down. Okay, so you can see on the opening day. Okay, so we had price action. This is the opening 15 minutes. Okay, so what we do in the morning, all right, this is a lesson right here. It's a lesson. Okay, in the morning we map out the first 15 minutes. Okay, so there's first candle, second candle, third candle. Let me move this down because it's not quite in the right spot. All right, so there's first and second candle, and we can move this down just a little bit more and scoot it up right there. Okay, so we're looking for a break of the first 15-minute opening range. So here's candle 1, candle 2, candle 3. Okay, so we get a breakout to the upside. All right, and looks like we hit resistance. Okay, overhead. Okay, that would be this line right here. Okay, probably a gap fill from a previous day. All right, right there. So we hit that. And then price, let's move it up just a little higher, see where that is. Just see where that is. Yeah, and we hit a gap fill like from a previous day right up into here. All right, and then we bounce back down, test the bottom one more time. All right, and here's the clue. You want to see the clue? This is the clue. This is a big clue too, all right? This is a huge clue, okay? Notice the bears right on top, all right? All they got to do is reach out and touch it, okay? Right on top of gap fill, okay? Because that's where we closed yesterday, okay? And gaps are typically magnetic, all right? I mean they really suck price down to where they are. Okay, so you look at here's the clue. Come down, we don't fill gap. I mean, we're like 5 cents, 10 cents, maybe 12, 6 cents away from gap fill right here, okay? All right, and then we reverse, and you got a see, this would be red. All right, you get a green erases red entry right here. Not to mention you come back up through after retesting the opening range. All right, but there's the clue. The bears couldn't fill the gap right there. Okay, and then when you see price do a bull 180 right out of there, that's your clue. You're going to be bullish all day. That's when I start like laying out some risk. At that point, I know, and we're back up over VWAP. We break the rubber band candle. It's game on, all right, when you see that, okay? Bears failed to fill the gap, and all they had to do was reach out and touch it, and they still couldn't get it done. That's how strong the Bulls were. They kept them from scoring a touchdown right there. That's like an end zone stand right there. I don't know if you watch football, but that's like an end zone stand. They just refuse to let them in to the end zone right there. And there's your clue. That's the biggest clue right there. Not to mention the opening breakout up there. But here we got, and then you get your bull 180. You can see price just, you got the green erases red. You got the break of the rubber band candle right there. And then you got your 10-minute uptrend, all right, right here. All right, so it's just a thing of beauty for the rest of the day. All right, so you know the bulls are in charge. You're just going to hang with this as long as that 10-minute uptrend is intact and they're holding that higher ground. And then you get consolidation over prior consolidation. Okay, you know it's game on. It's looking great up to that point. Okay, so there it is. That was the trade. Bears failed to fill the gap, and it's like boom. Right there, you know this is what you want, and you want a lot of it, okay? Because the bulls are definitely in charge this morning, okay? Especially look at the price action, how much they gapped up in the overnight session, okay? So we closed down here about, let's call it 628 to make it simple, all right? And we're up here at 631. Okay, so that's a $3 gap. That's a good size gap when you're producing $5 and $6 days. Okay, that's a good size gap up. All right, and then they melt off and they fail to get all the way back down here. So beautiful trade for SPY and QQQ, by the way. Okay, I had a thunderstorm outside. It's kind of breaking up right now. But anyways, things are good. So price action rips. 10-minute uptrend. Again, that's my favorite. That's my favorite. All right? 10-minute uptrend inside a 2-hour uptrend, inside the daily uptrend. I'm telling you, traders, we're still bullish, okay? Right now. We may melt off a little bit tomorrow, but we're still bullish. I don't really see it happening, but somebody could come in with some earnings and just kind of corrupt the whole bullishness. We'll see. All right, but things are still looking good. All right, I love that hold that higher ground. I love the consolidation over the prior consolidation. Things are looking good. Let's take a look. So into the close, what did we really have? We really had a 10-minute consolidation, okay? But what we got on the last candle right here is a bearish cross right there into the close on the 2-hour chart, okay? Let's look at the 2-hour. Let's look at it on this chart right here. Okay, so into the close. Remember, we left yesterday with a 10-minute downtrend. See, the 3 was underneath the 8. Okay, so we opened up. Look at that candle. We opened up this morning with a 2-hour uptrend. Nice. All right. So there's the 10-minute uptrend inside the 2-hour uptrend. Inside the daily uptrend. Okay, now daily's still in an uptrend because they haven't taken out this low down here, so they're still in an uptrend. Okay, on the daily chart. Weekly, see all the green dots, obviously. See the space. Weekly uptrend. Monthly, see all the green dots, still monthly uptrend right there. So there it was, 10-minute inside the 2-hour, inside the daily, inside the weekly, inside the monthly. My favorite trade right there. And a trend day all day. Love that trade. I can make a lot of money on that. Hence, you saw what happened today. I made 30K on a 35K account. All right. I mean, that's a great day for me. That's an awesome day. Okay, so there's SPY. All right, and let's take a look at the daily chart, see what we got. Okay, you got a higher low and a higher high. You're closing over a bullish cross and over the 17 EMA. All right, if we look at it with the quadrant lines on there, all right, I'm going to put those in real quick. Just going to pull this down just a little bit. All right, I'm going to take this, slide that in. We're up at the top of quadrant 4. That's bullish. All right, and we're still in an uptrend, okay? Even with this poke of the 17, you can see us back up there holding this area. Kind of showing us a possible bearish head and shoulders, but make no mistake, right now we are up here at the top of quadrant 4. That is bullish, and we're still in an uptrend right there on SPY. QQQ. Let's look at QQQ. Let's take a look at it on the 10. All right, 10. Look at the 10. The 3 never even touches the 8. I think all day long. Look at this. The 3. Price touches the 8 right here and here, but the 3 never even touches the 8 all the way into the close. That's incredibly bullish. All right, right there. So 10-minute on the QQQ, 10-minute uptrend into the close. Look at the 2-hour. Oh, yeah. Okay, got a 2-hour uptrend into the close. Let's look at the daily. Higher low, higher high, just like SPY. Closing over a bullish cross. Over the 17. See the green dot? All right. See the green dots right through here. Over the 17. Up here at the top of, yeah, quadrant 4. That's bullish. Still in an uptrend. Remember, they have to take out this low in order to produce a downtrend. Right now, they're still in an uptrend. This was a slight pullback in that uptrend. There's QQQ. So let's visit FNGU. All right. Still up there in quadrant 4. That's bullish, but in a downtrend. Okay. See, they got a poke right here of the 17, and they made a lower low. It's hardly a valley, but it's a little mini valley made with 3 candles. Okay, so you can see we're in a downtrend, but look, we're not moving down. Okay, that's important. All right, you can be in a downtrend, but if you're not moving down, that label is worthless. All right, so FNGU on the daily chart, kind of just like SPY and QQQ, higher low, higher high, closing over a bullish cross, over the flat 17 EMA. Yeah, all the way up here in quadrant 4. That's bullish up there. Anything in the upper third of the quadrant lines, upper third is bullish. Okay, and but in a downtrend. Okay, but not moving down. So that's bullish. FNGU. Let's take a look at IWM. Okay, IWM. See the low? Well, they made a lower low. Now, if they take out that high, they, guess what? They negate the downtrend and convert the uptrend. Again, downtrend, but not moving down. Okay, that's an important observation to make right there. Okay, downtrend, but not moving down. Still consolidating up over prior consolidation. If we were to box off some consolidation, let's just call this the prior consolidation. And let's just call this the current consolidation. Okay, so we got one candle with a little tail right here that pokes into the prior consolidation. But all in all, the majority of the price action, what is it doing together, okay, is consolidating up over prior consolidation. That's a bullish environment. Okay, it needs to hold this area still. All right, you'll get some of this flake out like this. I mean, come on, for 30 days, all of July, they consolidated up over prior consolidation. Okay, so all of this is July. They didn't get any better, they didn't get any less. Okay, until they got that candle right there at the beginning of August. Okay, but all in all, that's bullish, okay, up there. So let's see where they closed, because if they closed in the upper third, okay, they'll be bullish. And they did close in, I'm going to call it upper third. I'm going to give it to them. That looks close enough. Okay, so in the upper third. So I'm going to pan way out so you can see that. Okay, notice this is quadrant 4. They have not produced any candles up here in a long, long time. All right, but they're closed in the upper third. Okay, so that's bullish. All right, and they're in a downtrend, but guess what? Not moving down. Okay, that's bullish when you're in a downtrend that doesn't move down. And you're up over the all-time high anchored VWAP right there. Okay, so downtrend that's not working. Okay, in the upper third, that's bullish. All right, and on top of all-time high anchored VWAP. All right, so I like that. That's good. That will work for me. I wish it was a little more strength showing here, like maybe start consolidating up here in quadrant 4. That would be a beautiful thing. Okay, but give them time. I think if I give them time, they're going to get up there eventually. There's IWM. Diamond Dow, all right, as long as they don't fall apart. Okay, Diamond Dow is in quadrant 4, so that is bullish. Again, you can see, all right, let's put the boxes out there one more time. Okay, you can see this was prior consolidation. So that's May, June. See right there, May and June. And now this is July and August, okay? Consolidation over prior consolidation. That's a bullish environment right there, okay? So that's bullish behavior, all right? They're up in quadrant 4. That's bullish, okay? You're up over all-time high pink anchored VWAP right there, okay? You made a lower low, so you're in a downtrend, but you're not moving down anymore, okay? So you've got a downtrend that's not working, all right, which I like when the downtrend's not working. That means there's a possibility of a uptrend working soon. So there's Diamond Dow up in quadrant 4 that's bullish, and in a failing downtrend, all right, or a downtrend that's not working, and up over the all-time high anchored VWAP. So that's bullish up there, okay? Take a look at our technicals, all right? Start with T2122, okay? Looking like we're starting the beginning of another downtrend. I hope we're not coming down to this oversold zone, all right? We didn't make a higher high yet. We got up into the buy zone, and notice we could not hold the higher ground, but we are producing a bull flag from the point of interest of the oversold zone. A move up and a pull back to the midpoint right through here. So what happened today? We actually just consolidated from the left to the right, waffling around in the buyer's chop zone and making an appearance inside the seller's chop zone, but ending the day inside the seller's chop zone. So all in all, we got lower highs. See the highs? We got lower highs and lower lows. So not a good sign for T2123, but we're still holding this midpoint area. That's bullish. From this point here, that is a bull flag, all right, right there. So we'll see what happens, all right. For 3 days, they've been just melting inside the buyer's chop zone right there. Take a look at T2123. Okay, let's start off with the 6th. Okay, so we're just moving over to the right. Okay, no gap ups, no gap downs, nothing got filled there. Okay, no new rally high. We're just moving over to the right, kind of showing a bear flag. Okay, and I say it's a bear flag because we're not bouncing back up, because so it's like a move down and over to the right. That's a bear flag there. We're caught underneath this. Well, I'm going to call it a flat 200 right there. All right, we're not making lower lows, but we are making higher highs up here, so we're still in an uptrend. We got a low right here. Did we make a lower low? Yeah. Okay, so currently on the 15-minute T2123, we have a low below the 17 right here, and we made, we inked out a lower low. So we're in a downtrend on the T2223, okay, on the 15-minute chart. Okay, so we left off with a 15-minute downtrend, and we're showing a bear flag, and we're underneath 200 SMA there. Okay, so we'll see where we're heading off tomorrow. And of course, you saw T2122 kind of showing you a melt off this way. This is more of a bull flag moving up over to the right. So it should be interesting last 2 days on Thursday and Friday. All right, we'll see what happens. 3-bar chart. You're still bullish up here. You have not made any lower lows. Okay, still bullish, and you're up over the 200 SMA. All right, if you can see the quad lines right there, this will be the top. Notice price action still up there in quadrant 4. That is bullish. Okay, and the 3-bar chart is still in an uptrend because we got a low here. We made a higher low, and we got some highs here, and we made a higher high up there. So price would have to come all the way down here and wipe out that low in order to start a downtrend. All right, so that's where we are with T21 23 3-bar chart. Okay, let's take a look at FNGU. All right, FNGU was the savior today. You can see obviously all of the rally came from FNGU, and for the indexes anyways. Okay, buying, see green, all right, and they just bullied all day to close on top of the flat 200 SMA up there. And you can see it just bully all day up over VWAP and right up into the 200 and close up there with a strong close over the 200 SMA. Did they fill gap? Okay, I just want to see if they filled gap. They did not fill that bearish gap yet. It's been 1, 2, 3, 4 days, still haven't filled that bearish gap. Maybe tomorrow we get it filled. We'll see what happens. That's FNGU. Bullied all day today. Okay. Hey, thanks, John. All right. So there's FNGU. Let's take a look at just hit a few sectors. All right. Let's take a look at gold. All right, because everybody wants to know how gold's doing. Okay, gold is still bullish. All right, because it's moving up and it's holding the higher ground. That's a bullish behavior. Okay, when you go up and you give it up, that's neutral. Okay, that's not bearish. That's just neutral. Okay, so price going up is still holding this 300 area. All right, for 3 months straight. That is a lot of strength right there, showing you right there in gold, because I don't know if you ever exercise, you do the plank. All right, that's like planking for 3 months straight. Okay, that's a lot of strength up there, holding this higher ground up there in quadrant 4. Okay, I'm gonna scroll out so you can see where we are. This is the quad lines, 1, 2, 3, all the way up here, quadrant 4. That's bullish. Planking up there at the top, building out a 3-month launch pad. Okay, and look at the spikes. Okay, they're not going to give up until they get through. That's what it looks like to me. They're just grinding away at overhead supply. Okay, and there's going to be a lot of it because that's the all-time high. There'll be a lot of overhead supply. Just think of the beginning of time. Well, that's really everything prior to that. Okay, everything prior to today, which would be the beginning of time, all right, is possible selling up here because they've never seen price at this high. This is the all-time high for gold, okay? So planking up here, if they want to go higher, they've got to get through all of this resistance at the 300 number, okay? So there's gold. That's bullish, but they're in a downtrend that's not working. Okay, another one that's got a downtrend that's not working. Okay, because we got the 3. All right, see the tail underneath here that comes below the 17. All right, so we got a little, and they broke below and made a lower low. Okay, so that makes them in a downtrend. But let's look at it. It's not moving down. Okay, it's up, and it's actually up over all-time high anchored VWAP right there, or a prior all-time high anchored VWAP. So that's bullish, okay, but in a downtrend that's not working. All right, up there at the top of quadrant 4. Okay, so there's gold. Let's take a look at silver. Okay, silver's up here in quadrant 4. That's bullish. Kind of a sloppy pattern right through here. Still up in quadrant 4. Still consolidating for the most part. Kind of the sloppiest, one of the sloppiest I've ever seen. All right, it's not nice and clean like gold is. Okay, it's like up, down, up, and like a roller coaster up there. But it's over all of this consolidation right through here. Okay, so silver's bullish. Okay, notice for the most part, okay, this consolidation right here is on top of this. Okay, that is still bullish. Okay, you're up at the top of quadrant 4. That's bullish up there. You're still in an uptrend. You have not taken out, this would be the first low right here. All right, you have not taken out that low. If we took out that low, we'd be in a downtrend. Now, if they take out this low, they'll be in a downtrend. Okay, that would be the one to take out. Okay, but they didn't take this one out. Okay, so they're still in an uptrend. Let's take a look at USO and UNG. I want to thank everybody for hanging out with me today. Okay, so let's start with UNG. And then we're going to hit USO. Actually, we're just going to hit USO. Okay, USO got a habit. All right, and they got a bad habit. All right, and the bad habit is they go up and they give it up. All right, they just can't seem to hold on to anything other than the middle ground. That's it. They just can't make up their minds. Look, they go up and they give it up, and they go up and they give it up. They even go down, and guess what? They give that up too. So they go up and then they give it up again. Okay, then we go up, and you can see here we are again giving it up. All right, that's their bad habit. All right, let me just say, when they finally get a hold of something and hold for more than, I don't know, 4 hours, okay? I'm exaggerating, all right? If they get up there and hold for a couple days, it's going to be interesting, all right? Because they just can't seem to get that done. But if they get up there and they actually hold it for 2 or 3 days, all right, make a note of it, all right? Because it's something they haven't been able to do in a long, long time. All right, so I'm just going to take all that out of there. There's the bad habit that they have. I'm going to scroll out. Okay, you can see they're not in quadrant 4. Okay, and they're not in quadrant 1. All right, they're not in the upper third. Okay, which would be up here. Okay, all of this would be all bullish up above that line. This down here, this would be bearish. Okay, so they're just neutral. So they're just right in the neutral ground, right through here. Again, they like to hang out at the midpoint. Okay, and just, they might be on the left side of the fence. They might be on the right side of the fence. They just can't seem to decide where they want to park the car today. Okay, so price action, making a lower low. Right here, we got a low. Well, they made a lower low today. So they were in an uptrend, and because they made a lower low, they're in a downtrend. But they're no longer in the upper quadrant, so they're just neutral. They're neutral and in a downtrend. Okay, but above, okay, the 3-year high anchored VWAP and above the midpoint there. All right, so there's USO. Take a look at UNG. Okay, UNG is bearish, very, very bearish. Okay, price action here is, you can see price action, all right, is showing you a bearish head and shoulders pattern. Okay, you got the triple top head up there. Then we got a right shoulder right there. It's a double top right shoulder, double top left shoulder right there. Okay, then we got lows. Here's 4 lows, and they keep making lower lows. So that's a downtrend. Okay, downtrend right there because they keep making lower lows. All right, so you can see they're in a downtrend. They're down here in quadrant 1. That's bearish. And on that head and shoulders pattern, this would be the neckline right through there. Okay, notice they could not break up and hold on top of that neckline right there. Lee's asking me something, and text says, John, is that pivot tool per hand drawn levels? Which pivot tool? I have 2 pivot tools. I have one that is not. I draw my own pivots, all right, and I base it on the prior date, the day's price action. There's one here that comes with T2123. Okay, this is the pivots. I'll crank that one up so you can see what it looks like. It's kind of just like your Woody's pivots right there. Okay, probably match up very close to the Woody's pivots. All right, let's take a look at it on the 10-minute chart. Okay, so there's that pivot. I draw my own pivots when I do price action. All right, so when I do the game plan, let's see if I can get that out there for us. Okay, so when I do the game plan, I draw my own pivots. And my pivot usually is very close to their pivot. All right, so when I do the game plan, this is my pivot. Of course, the green erases red and the red erases green right there. John, Lee says, thanks, Tech. John, is the 3-bar indicative for trend? Yes. Yes. It's anytime you got a bigger time frame, all right, that's always going to rule. All right? It's like having what the trump card or the high card in the deck, all right? All right. The bigger the time frame, the more reliable the chart is. Okay, so the 3-day is going to be a stronger chart to look at than the daily, you know, and the 3-bar is obviously going to be stronger than, well, the 10-minute or the 30-minute or the hourly. Okay, so anytime you get a 3-bar chart, that is a much stronger, reliable chart. Okay, because you're encompassing a lot of time, and the candles represent a bigger piece of time. Okay, does that make sense, Lee? He might be here. He might not be here anymore. He might have had to go. All right, so that's it right there. Okay, so there's the SPY game plan. So I answered a few questions. I'm just going to visit a few more, and then we're going to take off, and I'm going to see you guys all tomorrow at 8 o'clock, okay? So let's go to the scratch. Let's go to the game plan. Let's go to the daily. Let's just look at SMH. Okay, SMH still bullish, still in an uptrend. XOK. Okay, still bullish. Up here in quadrant 4, still in an uptrend. Okay, XLF. XLF is in a downtrend, all right, but not moving down. Okay, but showing a bear flag. Okay, there's a low. They made a lower low, but they're still bullish because they're still consolidating over prior consolidation. Remember, they're in a downtrend that's not working. All right, they're not moving down, but they're not moving up either. Okay, there's XLF. IYT. Okay, IYT has climbed back into the upper third. Again, they're in a downtrend that's kind of not working. All right, they've climbed back into the upper third, so that's bullish up there. Notice they climbed back on top of the all-time high, pink anchored VWAP. Okay, so they're in a downtrend that's not working. All right, and they're bullish because they're in the upper third up there. All right. All right, so that's it for me for today. I'll see you guys all tomorrow at 8 o'clock. Let's do it again. Be an interesting day tomorrow between T2122 and T2123 and the FNGU. Okay, FNGU really bully today, while T2122 and 23 kind of melted just a little bit. All right, so I'll see you guys all tomorrow. Thanks for hanging out with me. Everybody have a wonderful evening.